Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we turn to talking about a very famous conservative vlogging lady who also happens to be black, and she's speaking out about this current situation going on in the United States of America, and she had some pretty strong and important things to say, but unfortunately she's getting a lot of backlash for it. That's right, Candace likes to speak her mind, and ever since she's made this turn to conservatism, she's kind of become this kind of controversial figure. She's very strong, very confident, and has the right ideas behind her now too. Granted, the story actually started in a far, far different place. Candace Owens, of course, used to be a liberal and had this big turn to being conservative a few years back, which we've covered here on the show over the years. And since she's become a member of our team and joined the good guys, we could say happily that she's done a lot of good work for us too. She's posted online. She's gotten a lot of points passed. She gets a lot of attention to the right causes. I think she's even, met the president, dealt with him, and had these big interviews with other high-profile figures. Basically, Candace Owens is legit now, but she's also a threat to the mainstream media, so that's why they're not too keen on her. That's why they like to bash her and say that she's a racist now, or she's like in bed with whatever kind of bad groups they're making up today, the racist, the sexist. They're always attacking conservatives, and they're always going after her, but obviously there's a problem. Her being a conservative black woman gives her a little bit of immunity, especially for these radical leftists who love to use their identity politics. Now, to our side, it really doesn't matter so much. Black, white, Asian, brown, whatever it may be, we're not really focused on it as much. But since the left is, it is fun to see them kind of have their tactics used against them. And this is a situation that's been brought to light with her new speech. Basically, Candace Owens gave a live stream video on her Facebook that's been getting shared around. She spoke out against these violent demonstrations and all the chaos that's been going on in this country, and she did it in a very effective way. So that's why she's getting backlash from the mainstream media, and that's why we're going to talk about it and defend her and talk about how she's just making good points, and the left wingers are trying to defame her because she's right and she's proven them wrong. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to go over an article. Candace gave this live stream just about a day ago, and now people are talking about it nonstop. So we're going to start going over it. This article has some more information. It says, watch, conservative vlogger Candace Owens says the idea of George Floyd as a martyr is BS. Now that's already a strong statement, and I think we could get behind that. The fact that they want to take this death and turn it into a martyr, which means like turn it into this symbol that they want to make it mean something more than it really does. That's a bad thing. That's been what's been going on for a long time now. They took this one person dying, which of course is tragic, and no one's wanting to defend the guy that killed him, Derek Chauvin. The police officer has been arrested. He's being charged. All the other officers that were there are arrested too. So no one's trying to defend them. The greater point is, we don't want this chaos to be caused because one person died. It doesn't make sense. More people have died in the response, in the riots, in the protests than died on that day. So it's really an overreaction that shouldn't have happened in the first place. It shouldn't have spread across the country and across the world. And it's all based on a misunderstanding of the story and kind of fake news parts of it, because we know that there was no proven racism. We know that the group of 4 cops was very diverse. There was 4 different races in that group of cops that went after and arrested this black guy who died tragically, and that sucks. We're all really bummed about that, and we're behind, punishing who needs to be punished. But this doesn't prove that the cops are racist. It doesn't prove that all cops are racist. The implication seems to be that police brutality is really, really bad out there, when actually it's a really negligible issue. It's not that bad. It's not like cops are going around killing minorities. That's what's being suggested. And that's why we need to kind of break this down and explain it and talk about the nuance and the real story and break down what happened that day and why it spread the way it did. And that kind of gets to besides the point. We're getting on too much of a tangent. So let's read this article and get back to the Owens story. Candace Owens, who has turned heads in the past with her controversial comments supporting President Donald Trump and stating that African Americans have a victim mentality, released a video about George Floyd's death on June 3rd, in which she said the idea of him as a martyr for the black community is BS, and said racially motivated police brutality does not exist. Now, that's already a good start. I'm not sure you want to go that far to the extreme. I know that police brutality can happen, very small cases. It's not as prevalent as people say. I'm not sure she really meant it doesn't exist 100%. She probably was being hyperbolic if we're going to be we're going to give her credibility and give her a benefit of the doubt. But regardless, yes, she's making good points. There is a victim mentality here. That's the whole issue, kind of down to the core, is that these minorities are always playing the victim. So even when they commit a crime and do something wrong and get arrested, they're still the victim somehow. And they want to say they're the victim of the cops now, or the system, or racism, when really, okay, these people are getting arrested for reasons. Floyd was arrested because he spent a fake dollar bill, and then he also got caught being high. He probably had narcotics on him or something too. So there's reasons for the stuff that happened. It's not just willy-nilly happening out of nowhere, like how they'd have you believe. Protests erupted around the country after a video of Floyd's death showed then Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on the back of his neck for 7 minutes as a handcuffed Floyd begged for help, told him and other officers that he couldn't breathe, and eventually became unresponsive. The 4 police officers on the scene, Chauvin, Total, Thomas Lane, and J. Alexander Kuhn, have been fired and charged with second-degree homicide, and the FBI has started an investigation into the incident. So this is the justice. These are the people that actually did something, and, we can investigate it. Let's arrest them. Let's look into what they could be charged with. That's all fine and dandy. Like, no one is against that. This is what the rioters appeared to want. This is what they claimed was the issue, but there's still stuff going on. I mean, there's still riots and protests. I know it's finally dying down at this late in the week. It's been about a week since the whole thing sparked up and happened. So it's starting to calm down, but I think the point is the arrest really weren't the motivation. Like, they were just using this Floyd case as an excuse. And I think, this article is starting to lean towards the whole mainstream narrative. The press wants you to believe, these guys just came and took out this guy for no reason. But the thing they leave out is, okay, we're talking about this story. They don't even mention the fact that he was resisting arrest. I mean, all this stuff happened, for one, because he committed crimes, then he got arrested, and then he resisted arrest. So this isn't like a justification. Again, like, we can all still have that strong point. It was wrong. Someone died. Someone needs to get punished for it. But at the same time, like, why wouldn't you just mention that he was resisting? Like, these guys wouldn't have kneeled on him if he just got in the cop car and went along with the arrest. It's really that simple. And that's why this whole story getting blown up like this, it doesn't make any sense. However, in her video, Owens shared a different perspective, saying, "I do not support Floyd in a media depiction of him as a martyr for Black America," which she said was evidence of the Black community's tendency to blame white people and take no personal accountability. Yeah, that's exactly right. And, it's not a person that you want to be a martyr for. Like, when you hear the whole story, like we've been describing, and Candace goes over it too, and she even gets into a lot of his criminal history. Like, this guy has been arrested many times, and he's done a lot of different bad things. He's had bad illegal narcotics on him. He's robbed people. He's had someone held hostage in their home that was pregnant. Like, he's done very awful things. Not saying that he deserved to die, and not saying he couldn't recover either. But I mean, he went to jail multiple times. He's been arrested over and over again since the 90s. For decades, he's been in and out of jail. So to leave that out of the story just doesn't make sense. And especially when you want to make this guy a martyr, like, if you think of a martyr, you think of someone like Jesus or Gandhi or, like, Mother Teresa, even though her practices are questionable. That's besides the point. You get it. It's like someone that's a martyr needs to be respectful, like, needs to be kind of squeaky clean. And you don't want to make that out of some, criminal who's been committing crimes his whole life, who did a lot of bad things that led to his death. I wouldn't say he caused it or deserved it, but there were certainly a few things he could have done just to stay out of that. I mean, if he didn't commit those crimes, if he didn't resist arrest, if he didn't keep getting arrested and committing crimes, I mean, that's just what's going to happen if you keep doing that over and over. You're just bound to have something terrible happen. It's not justification. It's just the way it is. I mean, if this guy stayed at home and had a job like everyone else, like worked at a grocery store or the mall or something, like, none of this would have happened. So we don't want to put this person on a pedestal and make them a martyr. I mean, we could get justice and say the incident was wrong, but to put him up, and now they're like painting pictures of him on the walls. People are putting him on t-shirts and stuff. It's like really creepy. And I could see why Candace makes that point. Okay, with that introduction out of the way and some other points, let's get to some of this video and see what she has to say.
I have been sitting on how I felt about this George Floyd situation now for a few weeks, and I'm finally ready to say what I know to be true. And I am aware it's going to make a lot of people hate me. But at the end of the day, I think truth is more important. And especially in times of tremendous deceit, which I think we are in today.
Okay, this is actually a situation where what she says is going to trigger people. It's going to make people mad. And it actually reminds me of another story that's not like that. Like, there's another story. We're going to make another video about John Boyega, the actor. And he went and joined some of these protests and said some powerful things too. Well, want to be powerful, like woke things. He made a few good points as well. But the one thing that didn't make sense was him saying, oh, I might not get work after this. Like, this might ruin my career or get me in trouble. But that's not true. Like, the protesters and the leftists, they're all supported. Like, that's the running line. That's the mainstream narrative. And you going along with that is going to give you more support. I mean, the Star Wars community started to back him up right away. Even like Mark Hamill and the Star Wars company supported him after he did that. But if he actually said something like this, like with Candace, or something more volatile or truthful, then yeah, he would be actually getting into trouble. But fortunately, Candace Owens isn't an actor. She's not working in Hollywood. She's not working in these kind of liberal circles. She has a career independent of that. So she's in a position where she can actually speak the truth and give us a good perspective too. This is interesting because, yeah, she actually is a Black American. She lived in this country. She lives here. She knows what's going on, and she's learned a lot from a lot of experiences over the years. So to hear her come out against this kind of martyrdom of Floyd is definitely powerful.
You guys know that I am a huge fan of the writings of Walter Williams, Shelby Steele, and Thomas Sowell. They have really informed many of the things that I think about today. To me, being a Black conservative is not a trend. It is not just being a Trump supporter. It is about doing the hard work and the research and learning the things, the things behind what conservatism, the foundation of what conservatism really is.
Okay, that's a good start too. It's good to hear a little bit of her background. She mentions Thomas Sowell, who's a great writer, a great thinker, and a conservative Black man. Always good stuff right there. And I like the point too. The greater point is, she really wants to help. She understands there's problems in this community, and I don't think anyone is denying there's a problem, but the ideas behind these liberals is bad. They're not proposing good solutions. They're blaming the wrong people. Like, instead of looking inward and saying how these people can fix themselves, they want to blame others, like say it's white people, it's these guys are racist and bringing us down, it's the cops' fault. You need to fix yourself. You need to turn inward and change what you're doing. You need to change how your communities operate, the ideas, the way you raise your kids, the education system. Like, a lot of stuff like that is the good focus. And unfortunately, people don't want to go there because it's hard. That's the hard way. That's the hard thing to do. It's easier to just blame someone else and say, hey, you did it. Hey, you guys are my problem. I can't take responsibility for myself.
So Shelby Steele was talking in his book, I believe it was White Guilt, and he was talking about something unique about the culture of Black Americans that you will not find in any other culture in America. And it is the fact that we cater to the bottom denominator of our society. Let me explain what he means by that. He means to say that we are the only community that will get outraged and get up and organize and picket and protest to defend the bottom denominator of our community, meaning criminals, burglars, robbers, anything that you commit a crime. Only Black Americans will be out picketing to defend the criminals. It is.
Yeah, this is a great point, and it really gets to the heart of the issue. They're not having good role models. They're not idolizing the right people in their group. I mean, these guys that are getting arrested and, yes, unfortunately killed, like, no one needs to die. That's not a defense of that. But just think about all the times they've taken these kinds of cases when it wasn't even a question whether or not the guy did something wrong. Like, they're resisting arrest, they're reaching for weapons, they're doing bad things, they're committing crimes and fighting cops and all this bad stuff. And to put them on a pedestal, like to take your criminals and put them up as your role model, like that's the problem. And that's where it's getting to the heart of this issue. So I can see where Candace is going already. This is a great point. And she has a lot of other stuff to say too that you guys can review yourselves if you want to check out the full video. She starts talking about Floyd's track record, which we started talking about earlier too, all the times he's been arrested, all the bad things he's done. And it's just showing the fact that, yes, this is an issue with the community. Your community should be propping up people that do good things. You should be propping up like a Thomas Sowell, like he was mentioned earlier, or, the Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. People like that are good role models for black people, but most of them don't even care. They're more interested in propping up these criminals. They prop up like rap stars who are all about, selling illegal things and doing bad things, treating women bad. These role models are negative influences. And the fact that these kinds of riots will break out because someone died in an arrest, it's just putting that person on the pedestal is bad news. And it's just going to create more bad people that are going to look up to it and get emboldened. They're going to say, hey, this happened with him and he became a hero. Maybe I'm going to become a hero if I resist arrest, if I do something illegal and get the cops on camera. They're going to cause more bad situations. And it's just really sad to see, and it needs to stop. And I think also more people should be listening to the Candace Owens of the world. We should be listening to loud, proud, conservative, intelligent, African American women in this case, men too. They know more and can really provide the insight, and they're not brainwashed by liberal stuff anymore, which is really refreshing to see. Good job on this video, good stuff in this story, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys liked what you saw. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Tell me what you think about this story, about Candace, about the video, about the backlash. All of that's going to be discussed below. Also, hit that like button to help support this channel. Until next time, you guys have a great day. Let me just take a quick moment to talk to you about my second channel. I recently relaunched and revamped No Bullshit 2, and it's now called NoBS News. I'm going to be doing new videos on there almost every day on weekdays, and then weekends we're going to be doing more live streams. So make sure you guys check out that second channel. There's already like say 10 or 12 more videos on there for you to check out right now. So if you want more content, search NoBS News on YouTube or click the link below this video.